Audrey Mestey loved the ocean. As a child in France, she swam as much as she could. She would have liked to spend all her time in the water. And Mestey did not just swim. She also dived underwater. Her parents were scuba divers. They used air tanks to swim underwater. So it was natural for Mestey to dive. Growing up, she spent summers at the sea. I was diving every day, she said. In college, Mestey studied ocean life. She also studied what happens to people who make really deep dives. This kind of diving is called free diving or no-limits diving. Free diving is simple. The divers take a deep breath, they hold it. Then they see how far down they can dive. They don't use air tanks, they only use their lungs. Very few people do free diving. The sport takes great strength and daring. Free diving can be deadly. As a person goes deeper, water pressure builds. Everything inside the body gets squeezed. The lungs get as small as oranges. The heart slows down. It may beat faster than 20 times a minute. These changes in the body can cause big problems. Sometimes free divers black out. They can go into a sleep-like state. They must be rescued quickly or they will drown. So scuba divers keep watch on them. If a free diver gets into trouble, a scuba diver will move in to help. Mestey decided to study a Cuban free diver named Pippin Ferris. He held the world record. Ferris could free dive 500 feet. In 1996, Mestey went to see him. She wanted to talk to him. She thought he might help with the paper she was writing. But something she didn't expect happened. She fell in love with him. 3 years later, they married. Ferris taught Mestey to free dive. She loved it. Free diving took her to a magical world. To her, the deep sea was the only place to go and touch, feel, and live the power of the ocean. Soon, Mestey dived as well as her husband. In fact, in some ways, she dived better. Ferris had a stronger body. But, as he said, she has the stronger mind. In 2002, Mestey decided to set a new record. Tried. She went down 558 feet. That broke the women's record. It even broke Ferris' own mark. But because the record was set on a training dive, it didn't count. She would have to do the dive again, this time with judges present to write it down. On October 12, Mestey got ready. There was no way she or anyone could free dive 500 feet using just arms and legs. So, like other free divers, she would hold on to a sled that weighs about 80 pounds. Mestey would ride the sled down. She would go as far as she wanted. Then she would inflate an airbag. That would lift her and the sled back up. The whole dive would take about 3 minutes. That's a long time to go without air. But Mestey could do it. She had trained herself to hold her breath that long. On the morning of the dive, a storm struck. Thunder roared, and lightning filled the sky. The wind blew hard. Ferris wondered whether Mestey should postpone the dive. But then the weather calmed down. Mestey decided to go ahead. As Ferris checked the equipment, Mestey stepped into her wetsuit. Several scuba divers took up positions along the route. They would be there in case Mestey needed help. But she had made one thing clear. They were not to give her air unless she asked for it. When Mestey was ready, she took a deep breath and began her dive. She raced down past the scuba divers. She reached the bottom of her dive in 1 minute, 42 seconds. That was faster than her practice dive. Now all she had to do was come up. But when Mestey tried to inflate the airbag, it didn't work. Something was wrong. The bag simply wouldn't inflate, and so the sled didn't rise. The nearest scuba diver rushed to Mestey's side. He joined his air tank to her airbag. Air from the tank flowed into the bag. The sled began to rise, but not fast enough. Mestey could have taken a breath from the scuba diver's air tank, but she didn't. She gave no sign that she wanted air. Taking a breath would have meant giving up her chance to set a record. Besides, it might have killed her. Mestey had never taken in air while so far down. It might have caused violent coughing. It might even have caused her lungs to explode. As seconds passed, their sled slowly rose. The scuba divers struggled to push Mestey up. After nearly 4 minutes, Mestey blacked out. At last, she reached the top. But by then, she had been underwater for more than 8 minutes. Ferris tried to pump air into her lungs. It was no use. Audrey Mestey was dead. Everyone felt awful. To honor Mestey, judges decided to count her practice dive. It was now a new record. No other human, male or female, had gone that deep. After Mestey's death, some people called for a ban on free diving. They said that it was just too dangerous. But freediver Loic Lefray does not agree. He does not think freediving can be stopped. It would be like trying to forbid people from climbing Everest, he said. It's impossible.